Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I have a few flowering orchids that I want to share with you, and I want to share with you, in addition to showing them to you, I want to share with you a little bit, at least on a few of them, of their background and their relatedness to each other. I've got a lot of orchids. This time of the year are blooming. The fragrance is incredible. I'm having a hard time keeping up with them. And I'm thinking, okay, I want to put some in the video today, but I keep on forgetting really how many I have blooming and where they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with these guys here. This one down there, this one here, and then I'm gonna go, I've got one that is stuck to my fence, not intentionally. It just, it was in a pot. It's been sitting there. The pot just kind of grabbed onto the roots from the orchid, grabbed onto the fence, and I'll explain that to you. And then I have, as I'm looking around, I've got some other ones. I'm going to get behind the camera and then show you a couple more orchids that I'm not sure I feel like moving and bringing to this location. I think it'd be easier just to go around and take a look at a couple more. There's so many more coming. It really is an incredible time of the year here for these orchids. The nice thing about it is that many of the local orchid societies have their shows coming up. So I think one of the local orchid societies, Naples Orchid Society, has a show in a few weeks. Another one of the local orchid societies, the Gulf Coast Orchid Alliance, has their show about a month after that, and I'll get dates to you if you're interested in that. But there's shows coming up. Really, a lot of the Florida orchid groups have shows coming up, which is a big deal, where everyone brings their orchids in and they're judged, and now is just an amazing time to do all that, because because it's beautiful here and because the orchids are all blooming, or many of them are. Okay, so let's start on this one right here, and this is, I've shared this with you in the past. This is a Lila Ashitomi, and there is one, this thing has been blooming for, I think, probably for 2 months. It is 50% Toshi Aoki, not because one of the parents is Toshi Aoki, but because 2 of the grandparents are. So it looks largely like that, but then it was mixed in with some other ones to give it some other orchids, to give it some a little bit more of the orangeness that's in the petals and sepals from those other grandparents. There's one flower left on it. I really like this plant. I've tried crossing it previously, unsuccessfully, and I'm going to try one more time. So this is my last flower. It's a nice large plant. It should be able to support a capsule, and I'm going to try one more cross on it, and I'm going to try a cross that is what I call, and what I like to do, which is a risky cross, which is there are some of these plants, this one and this one, these are both awesome parents, which means they make a lot of seed, they make capsules. This one I'm struggling with because I'm trying to make some broader crosses to get some unique features into this flower, and that's what I want to try to do. I don't want to put pink or or anything like from these. I don't want to put that in there, so I'm going to cross it. I'm going to cross it with something else that's pretty broad, and this is, I'm going to cross it with Pollination that I have in my collection. So it's not a plant that's open and flowering now. Okay, so this is again Lila Ashitomi, last flower, just opened up a few days ago. It should be pretty receptive to crosses. It's a nice plant. It flowers, got a nice fragrance to it. And the flowering, the only problem is the flowers are spread out over time. It doesn't give you the explosion of flowers that I'm getting with these guys. Okay, let's go on to this guy. And this is one of my oldest orchids right here. And this is Mahina Yahiro, and the cultivar, and it was awarded, the cultivar is Mishima. And so this is a little bit of an older hybrid, but it is, you know, it's been doing very well for me. And right now the plant's pretty big, but you can tell, I hope from looking at this, you can tell that the plant, it's upright, it's not huge, but it's tall. And I'm getting a nice explosion of flowers on this. The fragrance is just on this plant is just phenomenal. Right now, I'm going to put this down. This is a little wobbly in my hands. Right now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open flowers. The flowers are nice. They're the pink coloration. It's nothing spectacular, yellow throat, a little bit of a darker lip, but it's just it's a nice plant. And the thing is, this makes a really good parent. So I've crossed a few of my orchids onto this. I've recovered capsules, and those plants from this are very vigorous. So they tend to be doing really well. On this plant, which you can't see, in addition to the open flowers, there are one, I don't know, I should have counted ahead of time. I think there's, yeah, that's another one right there. There are, looks like there are 2 flower spikes where there are 2 or 3 buds, 2 buds on that, 3 buds on that one that are going to open soon, probably within a week. And then there are some additional flowers that are in sheath. So this is going to be spread out probably over a month or 2, the flowers on this plant. But it's really nice. It's a nice growing plant, good control. It's going to be loaded with flowers. It, you know, might be nice for these shows if they were all open at the same time, but it's okay. Anyway, this is Mahina Yahiro, cultivar is Mishima. There's a variant of this where the cultivar is Julie that I really like, and that is a much lighter, almost a white flower that has some pink or purplish tinging around the outside of the flower, and that's a really nice plant. Again, this is one of my oldest plants. I picked this up many years ago, probably 10 years ago, at Odom's Orchids in Fort Pierce, Florida. And I like Rob at Odom's Orchids, and they have a lot of good stuff. Anyway, so that's the background and the history on this plant. This one right here, I've showed you this before. This is, you know, I said this is one of my oldest. This is my oldest, and this was the last time I shared this with you. This was just going to be loaded. This was, you know, it was exploding. This is a really old hybrid. What happened many years ago at my old university laboratory, I had an orchid growing person contacted me and asked me if they could use my laboratory for flasking of some seed capsules, and I said, sure, come on in. Yeah, at that point, I didn't have any. This is actually my first orchid. I didn't have any orchids, none, 0. And the guy came in and he said, "Well, what do you want for this? For you know, rent or fee for allowing him to use my laboratory?" And I said, "It was a university laboratory." I said nothing. So anyway, he gifted me some flasks, but more importantly, he gifted me my first plant of Momilani Rainbow, and it was not a great plant. I went through a few rounds of you know, insect infestations. I grew this in the Midwest outside of my house, outside in some trees in the summertime, brought it in the wintertime, and about this time of the year you would get these blooms that I thought were huge. They're not. They're nice, but they're not huge. Fragrant. And it was a very consistent grower for me. So if you're in the Midwest, or if you're in some areas where it gets cold, this is a plant that I recommend, because I grew it outside in the summertime, brought it in the wintertime, and it bloomed for me all the time. All it needed was that time in the trees in the summertime. I didn't even care for it that much with the rain and everything. Anyway, so this is Momilani Rainbow. Momilani Rainbow, it's interesting, the parent on this is Mari's Song, and I have, and then, so that's one of the parents, and then Orange Nugget is the other parent. So there's some variations on this cross where there's a little bit more orange in the in the flower itself. This one has a little bit of yellow, it's mostly pink, and some flaring, and the flaring comes from Mari's song. Now I have Mari's Glory that's in spike, and the pergola hasn't bloomed yet. So it's a, what is it, a step sibling of this is in my pergola, and a younger plant though, and it's going to be blooming soon from the one parent. From the other parent is Orange Nugget. And Orange Nugget is it's a really well-known orange flowering, small flower cattleya, and it tends to also to do really, really well. When you look at this flower, it is nice, and I don't know whether I mentioned, I think I did, that there is good fragrance associated with this flower. Right now there are 3, 6, 8 flowers that are open, but in addition to that there are 2, 4 that are in four buds that'll probably be open in another week or two. There are 3 more sheaths where the flowers are going to be coming out, probably again open in a month and a half for those. So this has a lot of flowers on it. This plant, if you can't see it, it has nice, ooh, that was close. I didn't realize this was holding that one up. It has nice upright growth here, and the plant is doing really well. It's contained. It has some growth that is coming down that may not be very desirable, but overall, it has some really nice growth on this plant. It's upright, it is sturdy, and it's just a really nice plant. I'm going to get this under here so that I support it. Okay, so I think I'm good with that. The other thing is just, so this thing blooms again during this time of the year. Because I've had this plant for such a long time, it gets big, I divide it, it gets big, I divide it, and I've got multiple plants of this, many of which I've given away, but I still have more here. I've got another division of this plant that's over there that the blooms haven't quite opened yet, but it's also in bud. So they all bloom this time of the year. Orchids, some orchids have the ability, many orchids have the ability to detect day length, so they know through some of the pigments that are inside, they do timekeeping, and they know what time of the year it is, and they bloom same time every year. Some orchids bloom where they're continual bloomers, and some are periodic bloomers where certain times of the year they'll bloom. This one always blooms this time of the year. So even though the division of this plant, actually I got 2 divisions over there, I got another one that's also in bud because it's the right time of the year, because the day length is the same. These are photoperiod sensitive plants. Okay, as far as this one goes, so I mentioned the parents on this are Mari's Song and Orange Nugget, and I have another. These are again step siblings. So this is another plant, and I'm not going to show any close-ups of this because this isn't quite ready yet. This also, the parent of this plant is also Orange Nugget, and this happens to be Fuchs Orange Nugget, which is an improvement of Orange Nugget. So this plant, and this is a really nice plant. I did get this. The cultivar on this is Golden Orange, and I got this from Fuchs. I got them from from RF Orchids. RF is Robert Fuchs, so this is Fuchs Orange Nugget from Fuchs, and this will be fully open in a week. All of the buds here, and there are, I'm just going to guess there are about 15 to 20 buds on this plant. I didn't even see this, but these, I've got a few that are just starting to open. It looks like the flowers are going to be a little bit smaller than Momilani Rainbow, but that's okay. Anyway, so the parent of this plant of Momilani Rainbow and the parent of Fuchs Orange Nugget is Orange Nugget. Again, there's Orange Nugget and then there's Fuchs Orange Nugget, and they're really similar, but they're different enough so that they have different names. All right, so I'm excited, and this is going to be my first bloom on this plant. I got this last year, not even a year ago. This thing has been just exploding with growth, and it's loaded, and this is what Fuchs Orange Nugget does. I go into these meetings I mentioned to you earlier, these the orchid shows that I go into, and there's always a lot of Fuchs Orange Nugget. So if you're going to bring a plant in, it's going to be pretty good. And most people's plants are much big. This is a tiny, look at it. This is a tiny Fuchs Orange Nugget. I've seen plants that are just huge, and they always do well, and they bloom this time of the year. So it's nice that that people bring them in. Okay, so that's it. And again, they're related. There's a lot of relatives to a lot of the different plants that I have in my collection. There are common ones that are used in breeding programs, and that's why I'm trying to, at least for this one and a few others, I'm trying to broaden things out just a little bit more. You know, I've done this with, I have some crosses with Momilani Rainbow. I have a lot of crosses with Mahina Yahiro. And I'm trying to bring some unusual things in. Again, because these guys are good parents, I can make some broader crosses, and they're receptive. They're so receptive that I'll get some seed capsules out of them. Okay, the other one that I want to, that I'm gonna explain it to you from here, but that I can't bring out here and show to you, is Pamela Hetherington. And Pamela Hetherington is a plant that I've had for many, many years. I got my first bloom out of it last year, and I think I got 1 or 2 blooms out of the plant. I've got it in a small square ceramic pot, and then it's mounted close to the fence, so it's mounted and hanging from the fence. This past year, last year it bloomed for the first time after a long time, but this past year it put out a little bit more growth, and the roots, as it was growing, it attached itself to the fence, so I can't move it. This may be, it's a beautiful, huge, beautiful light pink flower, intensely fragrant, and again, big bloom. The problem is that last year it bloomed, gave me a couple of flowers. This year it grew a lot more, stuck to my fence. The bloom that it's coming out of a pseudobulb that is like hanging down. It doesn't have the nice upright growth that I like, that I get from these plants. So I'm probably going to be looking for a new home for Pamela Hetherington. It needs to be taken. It's growing up, it attaches, it's growing down. It's a wandering orchid. It's also pretty old, so I think it was registered in 1970 or something like that. So it's an old hybrid. Again, it's a beautiful, large flower, fragrant, but not the number of blooms that I like. The growth habit isn't what I like. And it just may be time. I got to start making room for the orchids that I really like. It may be time for me to depart with Pamela Hetherington. Okay, after that I've gone on a little bit too long, and I'm sorry I get so excited about this stuff. I've got really just 2 more orchids that I want to show you, and I want to get behind the camera and show you these orchids. And again, after this, there's a lot more plants that I have that are in spike, and some of these are first-time bloomers, like Fuchs Orange Nugget. Some of these I've never seen bloom before. Some of them are, hopefully, I've got some of my seedlings from crosses that I made. One of the first progeny plants from Momilani Rainbow. One of the first progeny plants from Momilani Rainbow that's in spike, that's in bud, that hopefully we'll see a flower from, that I'm really excited about. It's in bud, so hopefully we'll see something from it pretty soon. Anyway, there's a lot more stuff going on, and hopefully I'll bring you a lot more videos. I've got some plants that I need to repot and divide and all this type of stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to get these things to you as I go. But for right now, let me get behind the camera and show you the last 2 orchids that I just because I don't feel like moving them, and I got no space for them right here. All right, so let me get behind the camera and show you 2 more. Well, I couldn't get to the orchids I wanted to show you. I can, but I got sidetracked. I wanted to show you this first. So these are 2 nasty flowers of Cattleya lueddemanniana. And this is my plant. These are on my plant. That is my FCC that I assigned a cultivar name of Propagator. So what I wanted to show you is that you can see in the middle of the screen here two bases of the flower. One is pink and one is green. So the pink one is a flower that I did not cross onto, so I just left that one alone. And what happens over time is that one, the pink base of that flower that's on the bottom, that's going to fall off. The one on the top, I think, is a successful pollination. What I'm hoping is that it's a successful pollination because I hybridized it with another FCC, Cattleya lutomaniana, actually one that has a numerical award that's just below mine. So I'm really excited. If I get anything out of this, it'll be a hybrid between two FCC awarded Cattleya lutomaniana. So, you know, in a short 6 months, I'll know. Anyway, I got sidetracked, and I'm going to show you now the other blooms that I promised to show you. Okay, and we're back. So this is Ports of Paradise. The cultivar is Emerald Isle. And these are looking pretty good. I think this is pretty much my peak bloom. All I have are these two blooms on this one plant. The plant is behind my stained glass piece. These tend to sprawl a little bit, so it's the only problem with Ports of Paradise. The flowers are really nice though. It has, as you can tell from the frilliness on the lip, it has a lot of Digbyana in it. So this is a really nice Ports of Paradise. Again, cultivar is Emerald Isle. So nice fragrant. You know, maybe I'm biased by the color of these, but this is a kind of a sweet lemon fragrance that's associated with these flowers. But they look really good. The flowers are just I think they're in pretty good shape. And I don't know, I just really like this plant. Oh, it looks like that lip. Look at that lip right there in the middle. Looks like the lip is ripped. And I think what happened is I caught a pigeon hanging out in this box right here, and it flew away, and I thought to myself, well, I'm glad it didn't do any damage to the flowers when it flew off, because I guess it was trying to build a nest in there, but it might have done a little bit of damage. So anyway, all right, so Ports of Paradise, Emerald Isle, and then one more. These are the last two flowers here on young Kong. So right here, this flower right here, and I'm sorry, I got a little bit too much sun that's coming in, so it's kind of hard to see. And then the final flower is it's at a bad angle. It's right back here. The one thing I guess I wanted to show you about this young Kong is if you take a look at the you know, at the lip here, it looks like there's, you know, some people might look at this and say that's color break in the lip, but I actually virus tested this plant because I'm going to share it with a colleague. As soon as these final two flowers fade, I'm going to be dividing this plant and sharing it with a colleague. So I tested it and it was negative, so I'm all good. But the plant itself, it just finished flowering. It had a lot of flowers on it. It just finished flowering, and it's pretty big. So it's just coming out of the edge of this pot and needs to be divided. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. Okay, more videos coming. Yay! I hope you enjoyed my video today, and happy propagating.